Here we go. Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, welcome into tonight's film session. I am the film guy, as you can see from the top up here. Tonight we got a special one. It's Travon Walker, a guy who, after his freshman year, I was like, holy smokes, this kid's going to be a bona fide first-round draft pick. And he's still got the measurables to do it, don't get me wrong. Still got some of the film to even do it as well. But as a sophomore, a guy by the name of Jalen Carter entered the mix. And you guys know over on the Patreon account how I feel about Jalen Carter. I think he's as special as any defensive lineman that Georgia's ever had, period, like end of story. And when Jalen Carter got inserted into this roster and into this depth chart, it kind of limited the amount of time that Travon Walker ultimately ended up on the field. So the sophomore tape, I'm going to be honest with you, almost wasn't even as impressive as what Walker did as a freshman. And next year, I think is the very pivotal year. I thought sophomore campaign was going to be what we needed to look forward to in Travon Walker. And now as Malik Herring is exiting this program, Travon Walker is going to insert into that defensive end's role as the true starter. And I don't believe he's going to come off the field. And this year as a junior, we're really going to see what Travon's going to be able to do. But don't get it wrong. He's got some things to clean up that we're going to talk about tonight. But a lot of this to me is a kid that I can tell is not really getting into a sync. Not really getting into a rhythm as not only a pass rusher or an edge rusher or a defensive end or an edge setter or anything like that. The whole game as a whole, I feel like he's very, very uncomfortable, not really sure about what he's doing on the field because, again, he seems to me like a rhythm player has got to be on the field over and over and over again to kind of catch the flow of the game and pick up the speed of the game as the game progresses. And I'm really excited to see him do that as a junior next year with Malik Herring off of the field and off this roster for that matter. So we'll see what the rotation ultimately looks like next year. I saw during the end of the Florida game, Kirby Smart and Dan Lanning kind of mixed Tramel Walthour in there at the defensive end position as well. So maybe that's who the backup is for Travon Walker. And we'll kind of see as the season progresses how much of that dominant role we get to see Travon Walker play. Because if you guys have watched Georgia over the last couple of years closely, I get a lot of questions about what Kirby does system-wise and how often he rotates players. Well, there's a couple of positions for Georgia that simply never come off the field. One of them is the defensive end position. Malik Herring played more snaps over the last 2 years than probably anybody on the front seven. The other one's the Mike position. One of those linebackers typically doesn't leave the field. This year they kind of rotated the three of them because Monty was kind of banged up, the three being Nakobe Dean, Monty Rice, and Quay Walker. Next year, Nakobe won't leave the field. Richard LeCount for 3 years, never left the field unless he was injured. Corners even rotate a little bit, but mainly it's that defensive end position, the jack position when Azeez Ojulari was healthy and ready to go. He rarely ever left the field. The Mike, Nakobe Dean, and Richard and J.R. Reed never left the field either during his time. So there are a couple players that don't leave the field. And I think next year, Travon's going to be one of those people, along with guys like Jalen Carter, who will, they'll give those guys spell. That front seven, they got to give them a little bit of breather so they can stay fresh and stay after the ball carrier and stay with good burst. Speaking of good burst, I am extremely loaded up tonight on, of course, Death Wish coffee. I got the Mr. Cup tonight. Normally I have the Mama Bear Cup, which I feel like gives me that extra juice. But Death Wish Coffee Company, you guys definitely should check it out. I know I got some of you guys on the Discord channel hooked on Death Wish coffee. It is 4 times stronger than any coffee on the planet. So it'll get you hyped up. And hyped up is exactly what we need on a film session like tonight where, middle of the week, things are kind of dragging along. We had a long NBR, Nothing But Rants show last night where I kind of unloaded all my energy on all my rants that I typically do. But tonight, we're extra juiced up again because of Death Wish Coffee Company. Check those guys out. All right, so without further ado, let's hop right into the tape. If I can get it clicked over here. There we go. Boom. So, again, a couple things. Like we started off at the top of the show telling you about how much of a rhythm player this guy is, how often he has to be, not only on the field, but getting into that rhythm as the game progresses. And you're going to see that as we go out through tonight's film session, how it kind of looks like he's hesitant when he's throwing these moves, when he's throwing his hands. When he's getting off of the ball, seems a little bit hesitant. So we got to clean that up as we go into his junior year for Georgia next year. So first off the bat, we talked about Azeez Ojulari's breakdown a couple weeks ago about how Azeez is great at doing what we call converting run to pass, right? As a defensive end or a defensive lineman in general, you've got to be able to come off the ball with low pad level, expecting run on early rundowns, and then immediately be able to convert that run blocking or run stopping scheme to a pass rush scheme, okay? So this to me is a perfect example of one guy who's really, really good at it, and Azeez Ojulari over here, boom. Okay, he's going to stick and rip. He's going to stick his hands inside and then shed the block. Whereas on the other side over here, Travon's still fully engaged. Travon's still playing the run and yet to understand that the pass is being thrown, right? Get disengaged quickly. You see towards the end of the clip, he ultimately does it. He gets there towards the end of the clip. But we've got to, if we want to be elite, right? If we want to be next level, if we want to be first round caliber type of football player, like I think Travon's got the opportunity to do in the near future, we've got to be able to do what Azeez is doing over here. Set the edge, play the run, and then immediately be able to disengage and get after the passer and force a ball thrown, right? A QB pressure, which is the biggest stat nowadays in analytics when it comes to pass rushers. We got to be able to force QB pressures, which Azeez led the team this year and last year in QB pressures. So that's the separation right here. And again, to me, it's all about reps. It's about getting this kid the 10,000 hour rule. I don't know if you know about this, but to be registered as a professional in any aspect, any avenue of life, whether it be football, whether it be an on-camera personality, whether it be the Lord of Dings back there as a producer, you've got to get 10,000 hours in, okay? It's a good book called literally The 10,000 Hour Theory. If you haven't read it, you need to. It's all about reps at this point for Travon. He's just got to get it. The more and more he gets it involved, the more and more he plays, the more and more comfortable he's going to be making these decisions, and ultimately, the faster they're going to come. They're going to come quicker and quicker and quicker, just like the progression we saw in Azeez from year 1 as a starter to year 2 as a starter. We've told you about that here on the channel before. So the run to pass conversion got to get much, much better. But here's the thing about Travon Walker that I love, okay? And we'll get into the effort in just a little bit, literally the next clip after this one. But to me, when I watch him, and the reason out of high school, coming into college as a freshman, that I said, okay, this dude is a future first rounder, is the body and the twitch, man. This is a 6'5", 300-pounder that moves like a defensive end. When in 1990 or 1995, 6'5", 300 pounds is a 3 technique. Now, he could come out as a sophomore and even as a freshman, played a little bit of it, and play in a wide 9 and rush the edge and rush the passer. Watch him get off the ball, and I'm going to take it out of slow-mo just a little bit so you can actually see the twitch. And the twitch is on par with a guy like Azeez. And I'll pause it at the drop. Okay, Travon's working a little shimmy right here trying to get to the outside edge of 59, but they are on the same level relatively, okay? Azeez got a half a step on him, but Travon's got 60 pounds on Azeez Ojulari, okay? He's a lot bigger of an athlete. But when you watch the difference between the way Travon gets off the ball in pass rushing situations and the way Malik Herring gets off the ball in pass rushing situations, you'll see why, okay, NFL evaluators look at Malik and they're like, 3rd, 4th, maybe 5th round draft pick, whereas you turn the tape on, if the production matches the physical frame and the attributes, Travon's got a 1st, 2nd, early 3rd round grade in terms of physical attributes. So that's what I like to see. The twitch is there. And the long arm, guys, we're going to be talking about this. What is a long arm, Brooks? I'll explain what a long arm is right now because I know we got some audience members that haven't been with us the entire time. This right here, boom, that long arm right there. Okay, when he gets that right arm up into that chest, okay, these big 6'5" guys, they're real long, right? Long arm, okay? The long arm, stick that arm right into his chest. Keep the forward momentum, keep the forward lean, and get that bend moving, okay? Get that angle, stick that long arm in. That's Travon's best attribute at this point as a pass rusher, okay? I love the twitch, though. The ability to get off the ball, have a little shimmy to him, have a little athleticism about himself all the time, consistently on tape. Again, we'll go through it as we get throughout the night. I'll show you that when it comes to pass rushing moves, I can tell this guy's real hesitant about throwing them because he just hasn't done them a bunch, right? But he can do this. He can turn tackles sideways, okay? And that's what we talk about all the time. Best edge rushers and best defensive ends get tackles to open their gate. What do I mean by that? I mean by open that field side leg. Go from a square positioning to an opened positioning. What that does is it takes the angles out of the offensive lineman. It allows that defensive end to capture that edge much quicker, gives them a shorter hula hoop to run, right? If that guy stays square all the way to the 50-yard line as opposed to the 46-yard line or 47-yard line like he is right now, obviously that edge gets much longer and much wider. You can't quite get to the launch point of the quarterback, right? 23-53 is where we're headed next. This is also something like, I love the athleticism. Don't get me wrong. There's a clip in this game that we're going to show you that's absolutely nuts. And it is in coverage. It don't take no dummy to find it. It had social media absolutely going bonkers about it during the game. He covered Tank Bigsby out of the backfield. So we know the athleticism is there. But to me, the next checkpoint for a defensive lineman especially is, what's your pursuit look like? What's your effort level look like, right? When I'm watching you on tape, do you stand out? And do you stand out for one or two reasons as a defensive lineman? Do you stand out because you're giving fanatical effort? Shout out to Kenny Dallas, that's his term. Fanatical effort, or are you a loafer? Are you a guy that I see on tape that I know everyone else, it stands out clear as day for a defense like Georgia's, where out of the 11, you may, and I mean may, have one guy loafing. Don't be that guy, first of all. But on series like this, on plays like this, Travon stands out to me because if we watch it in full speed, you can tell how much effort this kid's given on a consistent basis. I don't find him loafing very often on tape. It looks like this. And guys, that's 6'5", 300 pounds, okay? It's unheard of, okay? It's becoming more common. There's freaks like this roaming around every once in a while. But when I watch stuff like this, first thing I think is NFL, okay? The ability to do that and play 5 technique on the NFL level, it's going to get this kid paid. He's going to play for a long time because he plays hard and he's got the athletic profile. It's all about getting him reps like we're talking about throughout the night. Him and Mark Webb almost caught a fumble here, guys. Mark Webb, former wide receiver, by the way, so how you learn these things, I don't know. But he's going to take this right arm, and as he's falling down, he's going to rip at the ball on Tank. And the additional collision from Travon forces this ball out. The ball's on the ground right now. Georgia about got a turnover. 25-34. I always love when I see on the note sheet, it just says absurd or Jesus Christ or how or things like that, because I just know he's going to do something crazy. When I watch it, when I write these notes down, I don't even write what it is. I want to see it again. It's the coverage play. Yep, that's exactly what it is. So this right here, guys, it literally is absurd. And here's the deal. We talked about Charlton Warren, former defensive backs coach at Georgia, and Kirby Smart teaching what we call the face guarding technique. Well, guess what? They even teach it to their defensive linemen in pass coverage, okay? That is the definition of face guarding. We don't want to turn around. We don't want to high point the football because guess what? We're defensive linemen. We're not used to doing that. We're not used to flipping our hips. We're not used to attacking the football. Just like corners aren't used to attacking and high pointing the football on the college level. They're used to staying in phase. They're used to staying in trail positioning, right? Same thing right here. Travon's in trail positioning. Does a great job of face guarding right here and knocks the ball down. And my favorite part about this is you guys know me by now, I always love watching the sideline reaction. Watch these dudes over here. Watch how pumped they are. Look at them. All of them throwing their hands up, going nuts because 44 just made a hellified play. And I want to watch it from the wide because you just see how fluidly he moves, right? He is running stride for stride with Tank Bigsby. But to me, I didn't need to see this clip to know how big of an athlete and how freakish of an athlete he actually is. Guys, this dude covered kicks as a true freshman.